What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Leadway Wealth Builders Podcast, episode number 121. If you haven't listened to this show before, my name is Chris Rickenbaugh, and I am your host as always, and I am documenting my journey in real estate and business while also talking a little bit about travel hacking and personal finance. In today's show, we're going to be covering the flip project that I just closed on yesterday on 3/27. So we'll be listening to this on Friday, so I'm recording the day before. But before we do that, go ahead and follow me on Instagram and TikTok at leadway.wealth, where you can stay up to date on everything that I'm doing in my business, tips I'm learning, books I'm reading, and what I'm doing in my business. And then you can find this podcast and the links everywhere on figuringitoutfinance.com, working on getting that changed over. But you can check out the podcast and all the links on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. So let's jump into it today. I wanted to do a deal breakdown on basically on exactly what we just closed on. So, it's a pretty straightforward flip. I want to talk about how we found it, the negotiations through it, and what those numbers look like. So let's talk about how we found this in the first place. So I had a wholesaler reach out to me. He saw that I was closing deals at the courthouse and my name popped up. So he decided to reach out to me and had an estate that he was looking to wholesale, and reached out to me. He's like, "Hey man, you interested in this?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. It looks like an opportunity. Like, let me go walk it." And he's like, "All right, I'm selling it at $265. I'm like, "Okay, I think that's a little bit too high, but I'm going to go ahead and walk it anyway." I walk it and I'm looking at it thinking, yeah, it's going to be about, it's going to be a good sized renovation. Pretty much needs everything. And I go back to him, I run my numbers. We're looking at an ARV of probably about 360 to about 365 conservatively. So running the numbers on a $70,000 rehab, we're looking at a purchase price of $205,000. I said, "Man, my highest price I can go to is $205,000. He's like, "Oh man, that's way too off. But I appreciate you looking." So we went a week or two later, he texts me back. He's like, "Hey man, you don't think you could go 230, could you?" I'm like, "Nah, that's still way too high. Like, I got to be stuck to my number at 205. He's like, "Okay, sounds good." A week later, he calls me back up. He's like, "Hey man, are you still interested?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Would you take it at 210? I said, "Yeah, we could do that." So I sent it over to my lender and we got my contractor in there to do a full scope of work at a $75,000 renovation budget, buying at $210,000. And that is where we can start breaking down the numbers. So what does this house need? Because the numbers are going to be the biggest thing. So we have to go and figure out exactly what this house needs. Then here at the end, I'm going to be able to break down the numbers for you. So this house is pretty much going to need everything through and through. So the exterior looks great. Roof looks good. We just have to add some fascia and gutters on the outside, and then we're going to paint the house, and we're going to do a little bit of landscaping and probably remove one of the ugly trees that kind of sticks out in the middle of the house. So we're going to remove that. Then on the inside, it's going to need all new windows and all new flooring throughout the house, all new carpet in the rooms, touching up the drywall. We're going to be opening up a closet where we're going to be moving the air return into the attic, and then we're going to stuff a stackable laundry machine in that closet. So we might have to open it up a little bit, but shouldn't hurt it too bad. So currently the house is only a 3-bed, 1-bath. The biggest return where we see as a 3-1, if we were just to renovate it that way and try and sell it as a 3-1, the ARV is going to come back to about 310 to 315. So that's way too low. I would have had to get the house probably closer to about 150 to 160,000 to be able to do that. So where the biggest expense is we have to add a second bathroom. And then how do we do it without it looking too weird? So what we're going to do, the original washing machine was set up in the original bathroom. So you can check it out on Facebook, or not Facebook, but Instagram or TikTok on that video, because behind the bathroom door is where that washing machine would sit. So we thought about, well, maybe we can, put a stackable back there. But I said, to get the highest value, this needs to be a master bedroom, or it needs to be a master bathroom. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove that, and that's why we're moving all the laundry to the other closet into the hallway. Then we're going to make that a doorway into the bedroom. So now it's going to be a full master bathroom, and then we're going to be adding, like, right back to back. What we're going to do is there's a little bit of closet space on the back of the house that we're going to be able to eat into a little bit. It may actually increase our square footage over 1,100 square feet, but the biggest thing is adding that second bathroom, and we're going to have a shower in there. So, you're able to have everything. So you're going to have a tub in the master bathroom, and then you're going to have a shower to conserve space. And then you're going to be doing a full kitchen redo, where we're going to be, if you watch the video, you walk into the living room and there's that big gray wall dividing the kitchen. What we're going to do is we're going to remove that wall to the kitchen, making it an open concept floor plan. And that's going to increase our after repair value by quite a bit, because it's not going to look so cut up. You're not going to have to move in between these, or it's just going to be a lot more open and easier to navigate, and it's going to look a lot better. So that is going to be the big increase in our ARV, is adding that second bathroom and then opening up that wall to the kitchen for an open concept floor plan. And then to the outside, the backyard, we really don't need to do anything. I don't think I'm going to touch the fence. We don't need to do anything with the driveway. I think there's only one tree that we may have to cut down, and it's a dead tree that's just kind of hanging over the house. So the demo has already gotten started today, which is really cool. And we're going to be able to get started on that. So last but not least here, it's going to be a quick rundown, because it's pretty much just a basic flip. We don't have to worry about tenants on this one. We can just dive right in. Thank the Lord. Still going through an eviction on the other house. That is tomorrow. So hopefully next Tuesday on episode 122, I'll be able to have that full breakdown of what's going on that eviction. So finally have stuff to talk about on here. So that's fun as well. But let's break down these numbers for this flip on what they exactly look like. So I got it all broken down here on our deal flow rehab analysis calculator. So the property was purchased at $210,000, and then we have a total rehab budget of $75,000. So our contractor budgeted, he said 60, or he said 75 the first time. So we stuck with 75. We got the spread figured out, because I think we're going to have to add an HVAC system, and that's going to be $8,500. So if we have to do that, that's an $8,500. Then you got to worry about holding costs during this project. So that extra 75 is going to be right on point, which is good. So going through all the holding costs, insurance, utilities, taxes, interest on the hard money interest on the hard money for 6 months, that's $11,000. That is a ton of money. And then imagine having 4 or 5 of these at one time. Like, that's a ton. And then the origination fee is where we also, get eaten up a little bit. So we back that down to 2 points finally, instead of 2.5. And then the interest on the hard money, that's a strict 12%. So we can't move those much. But going back to the main numbers here, the purchase price and the rehab total, or let me back up. The holding cost is just for how long you have to hold that property. If we get in there and we get the renovation done in a month and a half, and then get it sold and have everything done and closed out before 4 months, that means we save, probably a good $5,000 to $6,000 on this entire project, which just adds to our net profit at the end. So going in all the numbers here, let's look at the purchase price and the rehab total, and we're going to be going off a base case scenario of $360,000. That is what we projected. Now there's 2 comps in the area that sold at $375, and then there's one that sold at $365, pretty much spitting images of the house, same bed bath square footage with 3 bed, 2 bath, and then under or right around that 1,100 square feet, between 1,050 square feet and 1,200 feet. So we're going to be right in that ballpark. And then the spitting image, that's the one that was at 365, and that was a little over 6 months ago now. So with the rising prices and interest rates, and be selling this going into hopefully the end of May, we'll be getting this on the market, a really hot time if everything goes our way, we're going to be able to sell this probably for higher. So the best case scenario we sell this is what we're going to list at is $380,000 or $385,000 is our best case scenario, because those other houses, they've sold, probably between 6 months and a year ago. So that was last year's market. So going into this year, we know the area, it's projecting well. There's a couple other renovations going on. Good, solid neighborhood. We're going to be able to push the envelope at a best case scenario, probably listing it at $380 instead of $385. But let's go back to the base case scenario here. This base case scenario, we know that the houses exactly like this have sold for $5,000 to $15,000 more than this. So we're basing it off $360,000 as a sale contract price. And then our net profit on this looks at $34,460. So that is our total net profit. Now we use private money to be able to fund this deal, where we're going to have to be paying $6,000 because I gave 15% out on $40,000 that we borrowed. And so all you have to do there is take your $34,000 minus 6, and then you get your $28,460. So really solid flip there. And, just going off the best case scenario, that's looking over a $50,000 profit. And then this is all factored in if we have to hold the asset for 6 months. So anything off of that interest that we don't have to pay, that's just added to the net profit. So let's look here at the worst case scenario. Save the best for last. So this is what I send all of my investors, because we know the purchase price, we know the rehab, we just don't know what that sale price is going to be. So let's just say it hits the fan and we just have to fire sell this thing. We know we can drop that price down to $335,000. So that's $40,000 lower than our comps, just to be able to get rid of it. And our net profit is still looking at $12,600. So why I present this worst case scenario to my private lender is because, he's getting paid back his $40,000 and then another $6,000 on top of it. So $12,000 minus 6, I still profit $6,000. And he gets his paid no matter what on a fire sale price. So I think the worst we're going to have to come down is maybe $350 if it decides to sit. But we wouldn't be buying it if that was the case. We're looking more towards the base case scenario where I already have it discounted $15,000 to be able to run my numbers. And then our best case scenario is $10,000 over our comps, which isn't too much of a best case scenario. It could always get better, but I don't think it's going to get anywhere. I think we're going to be right around that $380,000. So it looks like a really solid deal. We have a really good cushion on the rehab budget. So it's going to be a really solid opportunity for us. And with demo already complete, we're going to be able to, get rolling on this next week, and I'll be shooting videos and updates all on my Instagram and TikTok. So go follow me there at leadway.wealth. And if you want to keep listening to the podcast, go check it out. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to podcasts. It is the Leadway Wealth Builders podcast. This is all I got for you, but tune in next Tuesday on episode 122, where I'm going to be breaking down what happened in court with this eviction that is tomorrow. So thank you for tuning in, and we will see you on the next one. This is Chris Rickenbaugh signing off.